On this episode of This League, we have a special interview with YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul. Fucking sick interview. Please. Maybe one of the best interviews that I've ever done. We also talk about Lamarcus Alrdidge and some of the recent news out of Brooklyn. Very sad, very tragic story. We also get into how Luka and Cuban hate the play-in tournament because they are bitches. That's pretty much it. Shocker. Dig deep on Jamal Murray's ACL tear and what it means for the Nuggets title hopes. And of course, Jokic's MVP odds and more. All right, Marty, let's drop the beat. So the news broke right before we recorded this morning. So yesterday morning, for those who are listening on Friday.
Yep.
Lamarcus Alrdidge, 15-year veteran, 7-time All-Star. All of a sudden, Shams bomb comes through. LA is retiring.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely shocking. Came out of complete nowhere. I mean, we didn't even really know he was struggling last night other than, I mean, he kind of got bodied. But yeah, I mean, it's this awful story. I feel terrible.
It's insane. So the reason why is that he's been suffering from an irregular heartbeat following the last game for the Nets. And I mean, nothing is more frightening. I personally have this issue to a degree as well, where your heart just starts racing for no reason. Mm-hmm. And as a basketball player, not good.
It's a pretty important organ.
Pretty important to have it functioning properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't question Lamarcus putting his health first. I don't question him. He probably went to the doctor and the doctor said, this is serious. You should probably get some tests done. And he was like, I just don't feel right. So I'm going to hang it up, which, like you said, was shocking. Shocking decision to make on a team. You're playing for a team that you're probably going to finally get a title at some point if you play this year or next. And he's just decided that I'm good.
It's weird he just straight up announced retirement. He kind of there were a lot of people on Twitter, like Chris Bosh was trending, people talking about the similarities, but Chris Bosh kept the idea that he was going to play alive for like 3 years.
He had a documentary where he was talking about coming back.
Yeah, and after just a short hospital stay for Aldridge to just release, his retirement statement, that's probably the weirdest thing about this story to me. Like, he must have been thinking about it a little bit. Yeah,
and he's older than Bosh. What did his retirement statement say? Can you read that?
Yeah, sure. He goes, my last game I played while dealing with an irregular heartbeat. Later on that night, my rhythm got even worse, which really worried me. I've made the difficult decision to retire from the NBA. I'm thankful for everything this game has given me. I thank Portland for drafting a skinny Texas kid and giving him a chance. The city of Portland has given me some unforgettable years. They will always remain in my heart. You never know when something will come to an end, so make sure you enjoy it every day. I can say I did just that.
Yeah, I mean, remember he had that terrible performance against the Lakers when the Lakers, for no reason, blew the Nets out.
Yeah.
They were not unmanned, and the Lakers were, and all of a sudden they got blown up by 25, something like that.
Yeah, it was ugly. I don't think it was quite that, but it was ugly.
It was ugly. And Lamarcus said, I have no idea what's going on. I just can't play defense. I just can't get it right.
Yeah.
Also, there's some rumors or I guess whispers that this has to do with his COVID diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people have had problems. Like we see Jason Tatum uses an inhaler now before games after recovering from COVID. So there may be something to that, and that's damn scary.
Yeah, it's really scary because these are elite athletes and they're struggling. So what does that mean for people who aren't elite, people who do not take care of their bodies or look at their bodies on a day-to-day basis like this? It's tough. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a Portland fan, I have mixed emotions about LA. Lamarcus Alrdidge, that's what we called him when he was there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Portland doesn't get tremendous talent. We don't draft typically outside of Damian Lillard and Lamarcus Aldridge. And of course, we ended up getting Brandon Roy, but that ended painfully. Like his health was awful. Greg Oden, we've had issues with just people not working out. Lamarcus Aldridge, in terms of his talent level and how he played for us, I would say worked out swimmingly.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first... I mean, not first, but he was early to the modern big man that was shooting threes regularly, stretch five. It was interesting. He did not want to be called a center when he played for us because we had such bad luck. We had such bad luck with centers that he just would not allow the announcers to announce him as a center.
Was he like, hey, go sign Robin Lopez, please?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I can't have you do this. Like, I forget who it was. JJ Hickson needs to be the 5. And it's like, JJ Hickson is the 5. Like, okay, Lamarcus Aldridge. And it was sad when he ended up leaving for San Antonio. He's from Texas, so I got it.
Yeah.
And there were some whispers also that him and Damian Lillard didn't really function that well together because LA, very humble, very quiet, very soft-spoken guy. The team wanted him to be a leader, a vocal leader. He was not willing to do that. He did not want to be on billboards. And then all of a sudden we got Dame, and Dame very, very much willing to take control and be.
He stepped in on that. Yeah.
So that caused some friction. I mean, I wish the best for Lamarcus Alrdidge. I have a lot of positive memories as a Portland fan, and I just really hope that he gets healthy. Luka is complaining about things that he doesn't like. Shocking.
Yeah.
Luka is bitching about things that he clearly is not happy with, which reminds me of every single game I watch Luka Doncic in. So not incredibly shocking. He told reporters, I don't know how this came up, but he said, I don't understand the idea of a play-in tournament. Pause. You don't understand
Right.
the idea? I think you do understand the idea. You just do not like the idea.
Yeah, that was my first thought. It's like, what do you not understand? Like, this is an entertainment company. Like the company is built on entertainment, and the entertainment pays your salary, and that's the reason you're going to make $400 million or whatever it is in your career.
100,000% agree.
So, sorry, Luka.
Let's be real. There's a reason that this play-in tournament exists, and there's a reason that this play-in tournament's probably not going away. So he says, you play 72 games to get into the playoffs, then maybe you lose 2 in a row, and you're out of the playoffs. I don't see a point in that. Yikes. Then a few hours later, Mark Cuban sounded off, talking to ESPN, and he says, he does understand. He gets it.
Yeah.
As an NBA owner, he gets it. I get why the NBA is doing it. But if we are going to be creative because of COVID, pause, not because of COVID. It's because the NBA season at the end of the regular season is fucking trash. No one watches it because it does not matter. People who are tanking, tank. And people who are solidified their spot, 8 seed and up, they start resting players and getting ready for the playoffs because that's what matters to them. Sorry, this takes that out, right? Yeah. So he says, I think we should go straight up 1 through 20 and let the bottom 4 play in for the 8th seed. So basically what he's saying is that 1 through 7 should be allowed to be solid, which for those who are not aware of the Western Conference standings, where are the Mavericks currently sitting?
I think they're in the 7th spot.
They're in the 7th spot, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's so curious that they waited until they lost 3 out of 4 games to make these statements. It's so bizarre to me. Like, why? I mean, I know they won last night, but I mean, seriously, they did it after they had lost 3 out of 4 games.
They did.
Like, these punks.
It was very clearly bitch moves. It very much was like, we do not like where we are standing here because we think maybe Memphis could take us out. Boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, yeah. So he said the worst part of this approach is that it doubles the stress of the compressed schedule. Rather than playing for a playoff spot and being able to rest players as the standings become clearer, teams have to approach every game as a playoff game. Pause. That's what we want. That's what advertisers want. That's what fans want. I'm sorry that you want to rest Luka. I'm sorry, but no rest for Luka. Then he said, playing players more games and more minutes in fewer games. This is an enormous mistake. An enormous mistake, Mark, that you and 29 owners all agreed to. A unanimous decision that, yes, we all agree that it is better for this play-in tournament to take place. Because, why? More money and more revenue for you, your franchise, your players, and also, what if you're trash this year in a pandemic year?
Yeah, and I kind of don't get it. Like, it's not like this was an unforeseen thing. Like, did this not come up in the Board of Governors meeting?
Of course it did.
Like, oh, hey, this may be unfair for the 7th seed at the end of the season. Maybe, like, this is very obvious that it could happen.
And you know, Mark Cuban thought that the Mavs were going to be better than they were because...
Certainly, yeah.
The Mavs were the 7th seed last year.
Yeah.
So... not a particularly shocking thing. They probably thought they were going to be 3 or 4, and they should just be lucky that they're at 7 and not at 10 and have to literally play to win their way in.
Yeah, with how loaded it is. Yeah.
With how loaded it is, and also how trash Kristaps Porzingis was playing in the beginning of the year. Like, you guys finally started to pull it around, and you really, truthfully, the only reason we want the Mavs in the playoffs is because we want to see things like Luka did 2 nights ago. where he all of a sudden, there's 1.8 seconds left. They're down by 2 to the Memphis Grizzlies. And Luka does, I don't even know what that was.
It was a weird shot.
It was like, it was a floater, a 3-point floater. He gets the ball. He gets collapsed on, splits the defense. It looks like not only did he not get the shot off on time, it wasn't a 3. And then you watch it back and you're like, holy shit, did get the shot off on time. And his foot was behind the line. Who is this person?
It didn't even really look like a shot. It looked like he just like threw it in.
It literally looked like an underhand spin, like kind of like a throwaway move. And then you watch it back on slow-mo and you're like, oh no, that was a legit floater.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it was an insane shot.
Filthy. And you know what? Does Luka do that if they're not playing for their fucking life? Who knows?
Maybe not.
Right? Who knows? That's the main thing, is you want, as a fan, for their players to have minutes late in the season. Like, I do not want to tune in to the Clippers if Kawhi and Paul George aren't playing. I do not want to tune in to the Dallas Mavericks if Luka is not playing, because that's not the same team. It's not, now you are the Detroit Pistons. Like, what do I want to watch that for? I don't. And I'll just go and the weather will be great. Yeah. Because it'll be late April. And I'll be like, go on a bike ride or watch no one on the Dallas Mavericks play.
Yeah, the Luka-less Mavs that's a depressing team to think about.
Disgusting sight, isn't it? Oh my God. So yeah, I think that really sums up the point. We need to make sure that we see the games be meaningful all the way to the end. So I'm sorry, Luka. No rest for fucking Luka. Fuck your load management. 40 minutes a night from here on out for the man who's probably from another planet, Luka Doncic. Can we talk about how absurd it is? Actually absurd it is that Nikola Jokic is in the MVP race. Like, let's talk about this for a second. Not that Nikola Jokic isn't doing things that make him deserving.
Oh, you just mean like look at him physically?
Well, first of all, yes. Yes. When you see him physically, we'll get there. We will get there. Yes. And 2, 41st pick in the NBA draft.
Wild.
That is crazy. I remember when the Trailblazers got Jusuf Nurkic in 2017. By the way, the Nuggets selected Jusuf Nurkic before Nikola Jokic in the draft, which is absolutely absurd. And then they actually passed on Jokic a second time. They took him their 3rd pick in that draft. That is crazy. They were high on him. And I thought it was going to be great for us when we got Nurkic. I was like, this Joker guy, I'm not sure. They're very much neck and neck. Yeah. Nurkic is kind of like out of shape, but I think he's salty because they're playing Jokic more. Why can't they play these 2 big men? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't play forever, but if I remember right, I think his first game with Portland, he scored like 35 points or something. He looked awesome. And it looked like the Nuggets made this just massive mistake that, they traded the wrong guy, but yeah, it's just a funny thing I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was reading this Wall Street Journal article about Jokic, and it really made me want to talk about this on the show. They called Jokic the single best draft pick in NBA history.
That's interesting.
He's the odds-on leader to be the MVP. And in terms of MVPs, in the last 21 years, 19 of those players were taken in the top 10.
Yeah.
So for him to be 41st, if you're a statistics major or know statistics about a bell curve, that's very, very far away from what normal would be, right?
Oh, yeah.
In terms of win shares per minute, most productive second round pick of all time. That's crazy.
I feel that. Yeah.
No one, though, like you said, no one looks less like an MVP physically than Nikola Jokic.
No.
Haircut, supercuts. Facial hair sporadically spread around his face in a very strange way.
It's gross.
Skin translucent, probably never seen the sun. I call him like a poor man's looking, what's that guy's name? The tennis player.
Andre Agassi?
Novak Djokovic. Oh. He's like a poor man's Novak Djokovic. Just his body is like a dad bod at best, right? Just like very fluffy. You see him. Just doesn't even look like an athlete at all. Just at all. And yet, consistently doing something that big men and guards really just have no business doing. check out this stat from StatMuse. Can you read it for me?
Yeah, sure. It's Nikola Jokic this season has 26.3 points per game, 10.9 rebounds per game, 8.8 assists per game, 57% field goal percentage. Only Russ and Oscar Robertson have averaged 25, 10, and 8 in the season. Jokic will be the first to do it on 55% shooting if he keeps that clip.
He's better than guards, and he's 7 feet tall, and he looks like that. He looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like in this article, they talk about when he looks like that and he does this. When they say looks like that, that's not good. It's like, it means his physique is shockingly average for all the things that he can do. So there's this part in the article where the scout is describing him for the first time that he met him, right? He found him in a newspaper and like saw that his stats were otherworldly. And so he was told, like, go pay a visit to Nikola Jokic. Go see him. Go see the family. And this is what he said. Nice guy, doesn't look good physically. Fuck. Nugget staffers also said they had the same impression when they looked at him. They said a look at Jokic. Oh my God. A look at Jokic was all it took to know there needed to be less of him. Less of him. That's a fat joke. They said Nikola Jokic is a fucking fat ass. That's what they said. That's basically what they said. Nikola Jokic was living on Coca-Cola and they told him never drink Coca-Cola again. They said if we saw him drinking a soda, I would stab him in the eye with a pencil.
Oh, yikes.
These are real quotes coming from the Nuggets staff.
Yeah. It's funny how scouting reports can just be just giant roasts.
Yeah. Because and I think that people give me a hard time on this podcast about the critique that you give, but like that's basically what we're doing is giving assessments. Everybody already knows what's good, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a scouting report in the sense that you need to roast him a little bit. And I think that's right. Like Nikola Jokic, you see him and you're like, no way can he do that. No way. This is also what they said in that article, that Jokic decided during the pandemic he was going to get ripped. He sent a shirtless photo to his GM, and the GM said, he finally has abs. I've never seen Nikola Jokic with abs. First up, can we just pause for a second? If you're sending body photos of yourself shirtless to your GM, your weight has been a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Certainly, you're not just doing that for no reason.
No, like it's like if Zion took a photo and sent it to David Griffin. And it's like, dude, I'm finally there.
He doesn't do that. He just skips that step and puts them on social.
No doubt.
Let people talk about him.
And I think some of that is photoshopped because...
I mean, they've all been very misleading. Like there was that one before the bubble where he was in the mask and everyone was like, oh, he's finally thin. And then he shows up and he's just the exact same.
There's very clearly some shading going on or something, doctoring going on with Zion Williamson photos.
I think they're just sitting there laughing at it. Like, oh, they're going to talk about this.
So they talked about in this article like how people found out or had that one moment where they're like, oh my God, Nikola Jokic is otherworldly. Do you know when that moment was for you? I mean, I've had multiple moments, but like there was a moment this season that I thought to myself, okay, yes, he should be the MVP.
I can't pinpoint a specific moment.
There was a game for me not too long ago. I think it was maybe 2-3 games ago.
Okay.
And he threaded the needle, bounced past through 2 defenders to someone cutting in the lane. But it was like he had to kind of go around. Mm-hmm. He had to almost, it was a left-handed pass, wrapping around his defender through the passing lane into threading a needle that was collapsing into a cutting guard for a layup. And I was like, holy shit, did anybody just see that?
Yeah, I mean, he whips it. Yeah.
Fuck. On a string. And then that's like 2 plays later, it was like a quarterback. He like tossed it over the top of the defense into a place. He was basically throwing his player open. It was the player wasn't even close to there. Threw it up to the top and the guy was cutting, caught it, layup. Whoa. Then later on, offensively, he catches the ball on the corner in the 3, kind of faces up like Embiid, bodies into the guy, spins around him, baseline dunk. I'm like, this fucking guy.
No, he's nuts.
This fucking guy.
Yeah.
I love his game. I always have loved his game, but right now I'm like, okay, I see I've got my Dame goggles on, but I see that it's coming clearer now.
I'm still in favor of Dame getting it. Yeah, but
so am I. And I think the reason why has been because the Nuggets have had too many weapons. They've had Jamal Murray, they've had Michael Porter Jr., they then acquired Aaron Gordon, and now Jamal Murray goes down, ACL injury. Probably going to be out next year as well. The entire next year, they're saying.
I mean, it looked really bad. That was one of the more gruesome ones we've seen in a while in the NBA.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So as much as that means for the Nuggets, it also to me means you want to be MVP, Jokic? Now's your fucking shot.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to happen with the Nuggets? Their odds to be a Western Conference, to be in the finals for the Western Conference have now plummeted.
Yeah.
I think that there's no way that they could win the title now without Jamal Murray.
Oh, no.
There's no way I think that they come out of the West without Jamal Murray. They're now picking up Austin Rivers, which is not a great sign. Him and Monte Morris are now your starting guards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to win a series like at all. I mean, right now, they're like the 4 or 5?
Yep, Nuggets 4, Lakers 5, Blazers 6.
Yeah, I mean, they're not beating the Lakers or any of the teams above them. So
they would play. They would play the Lakers, right? That would be not good.
Yeah, I mean, if it stands still, but I mean, so they're going to have to play either the Suns, Jazz, Lakers, or Clippers first round of the playoffs. Without Jamal Murray, I don't see a way that team wins.
No,
4 out of 7.
Because Jamal Murray was the reason that they came back 3-1 against the Jazz, and it was the reason that they came back 3-1 against the Clippers, and now he's gone. Yeah. Completely gone all next year, and it's a tragedy for the Nuggets, but, not bad for my Blazers, though.
Yeah. I mean, I was nervous about them for sure. They were going to be a threat. I mean, obviously you hate to see this, and you're never pulling for an injury like that. But the West definitely got thinner, which is good news for teams at the top, no doubt.
Totally, yeah. And teams in the middle.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with the Pelicans, Marty?
Lots of stuff. It kind of comes from the top, but there's some problems on this roster, no doubt.
If Zion is so good, how are the Pelicans so fucking bad?
Well,
it's baffling. Basically, what you're saying is that it's baffling.
Brandon Ingram hogs the ball a little too much. Eric Bledsoe's terrible, only cares about his stats, and Stan Van Gundy doesn't seem to have any idea what he's doing. So,
well, and what's interesting about that is this. They're currently 5 games under 500. Zion is the only thing that's dominating the headlines right now. The world, no one wants to say it. No one wants to ask it. If you search New Orleans Pelicans right now, it's all Zion filleting.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right?
I mean, he's been playing incredible the last 3 weeks.
They went on a 6-game losing streak, then a 3-game win streak, and then they lost. Yeah. Okay, so they're 5-5 over the last 10. And everybody's talking about how good fucking Zion is, but nobody wants to talk about how bad the Pelicans are. No one. No one wants to say something's not working. Hey guys, this isn't good. Love Zion, but what's happening? And the roster does not make sense either because Steven Adams should be able to defend. Zion Williamson should be able to defend. The world somehow says Lonzo Ball defends. 3 guys that are supposed to be elite defensively, and they are the worst defensive team in the NBA.
Oh yeah, especially behind the line. And I don't really know how you address that or fix it because what can you tell people to do? Hey, close out better. I feel like they know to do that. It's a crazy team. And on Steven Adams, I still can't believe that they extended him. I understand him being in the trade to offload Drew, but I mean you can get what he's doing from Jackson Hayes or anyone else that you could sign for $2 to $5 million, and they just traded him and extended him right away for 4 seasons.
That was nutty that they did that in the offseason, and they are now starting to think maybe that wasn't the best idea, especially for the development of Jackson Hayes, because Steven Adams is much older than the rest of this roster.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Much older. Steven Adams
drafted 2013. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Steven Adams is a much better fit to be a leader anchor on a team like the Celtics, or a team that needs a big, to a degree, even Portland with roster flexibility if we were not at that money. Yeah. I'm not talking about at that price point.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Clippers as well. There's a few teams that you could use that is definitely not the Pelicans. So maybe they're thinking about trading him. I don't know.
I mean, then why extend it? I don't know. Like, you had him as an expiring deal if you wanted to trade him, or just like let the money go off the books. That was a really bad move, and makes me think that David Griffin is. I mean, he really hasn't done that much right. I know he gets a lot of credit, but he really is.
Can we please talk about that for a second?
Sure.
David Griffin may be as overrated as Danny Ainge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to go too deep into the Ainge stuff, but I mean, David Griffin, he really has not done much right. I mean, okay, he drafted Zion. Yeah, that was a great pick.
Well, that was number one pick. It was consensus number one.
Got super lucky in the lottery to get him. Like,
bro, I would have chosen Zion Williamson.
I mean, yeah.
The world, you put any fifth grader in there that watched some Duke games and they choose Zion Williamson number one. Mm-hmm. What did he do? Was it the Anthony Davis trade? Was that even him?
Yeah, that was him. I mean, and that was probably his last good move, in my opinion, because he did maximize that, and it was a bad situation. But since then, I mean, okay, so like the Drew trade, they keep George Hill instead of Eric Bledsoe. And I know Eric Bledsoe puts up numbers, but he's I hate to use the word cancer, but he is just such a bad presence in a locker room. The extending Steven Adams. Jackson Hayes has been playing a little better now, but they traded back from 4. I think that they could have gotten DeAndre Hunter, and they traded back to get Jackson Hayes. They've made some really bad moves.
Not only did they make bad moves with Jackson Hayes, keeping Eric Bledsoe, but also they seem to have this fascination with drafting way more guards than they need. And having way more guards than they need.
They're loaded.
They have Josh Hart. They have Lonzo Ball. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They're probably going to take another guard in this draft. Yeah. And there's one more.
Eric Bledsoe and Kyra Lewis, the rookie from Alabama.
Why'd you take Kyra Lewis? Why'd you take Kyra Lewis?
Well, they wanted Halliburton. It's actually funny because they lost the coin flip with Sacramento, so like that could have been their pick if they had won.
Which would have been tremendous.
Yeah.
So I feel, and you know what's also interesting as an aside is that Stan Van Gundy has had 8 top 10 defenses as a head coach. 8. That means that he has been elite defensively. Yeah. And for some reason, which I have a theory about why, for some reason, he has just become overnight awful at this one thing.
I would love to hear your theory because it blows my mind.
My theory is this, is that Stan Van Gundy made his living in his defensive prowess around packing the paint. And the paint no longer matters that much, and they are atrocious at defending the three, and now people are lighting them up. And the more that the three-point line becomes the prominent way that teams are scoring, the less and less he is good defensively.
There's a lot of validity in that. Like, because, I mean, he had Shaq in Miami, Dwight in Orlando. He traded, or I don't know who he traded, but he signed like Josh Smith right away in Detroit to like build around. I mean, their front court was Josh Smith, who's like 6'10", Greg Monroe, and Andre Drummond. Like that was, and that was like 2014-15 when he rolled that out.
And I think that was really the inflection point of when the NBA started to change a little bit.
It was,
too.
Yeah.
So, folks, tell me what's going on with the Pelicans. Make it make sense, respectfully. The world might say this league is a basketball podcast. So why are you doing an interview with YouTuber/boxer Jake Paul? I mean, first of all, it's Jake Paul. Jake Paul has 60 million followers. So there's been a lot of people in my mentions being like, why would you interview someone who's not a basketball player on a basketball podcast? I would also venture to say, Pardon My Take is a sports podcast, and they just had Bill Burr on, who is not. Does Bill Burr play sport, Marty?
I don't think he does.
No, he's a comedian, right? He's a comedian. So another sports podcast having non-sports people on. But of course, the haters stay in the mentions. Anyhow, he did just knock out NBA 3-time dunk champion Nate Robinson not too long ago. So I felt like that was enough of a thread. I also find him just really interesting as a person. He's maybe one of the most insightful people when it comes to what it's like to build a brand on YouTube, what it's like to be, I would say, overwhelmingly hated, how to navigate that, how to keep your sanity, and really then how to pivot into a different character altogether and pivot multiple different Disney Channel, YouTuber, boxer. He's had like 3 different lives and he's 24.
Yeah.
So I find him to be very interesting as a human being too. So without further ado, Jake Paul. On today's episode of This League, we welcome Jake Paul. I would say one of the most popular media stars in the world. I did a little digging. If your following was a country, you would be the 60th largest country in the world.
Wow.
Or 25th.
That's an absurd stat. That's pretty crazy. I guess I might start my own country.
No doubt. Congratulations on the win against Nate, by the way.
Thank you. That was one of the best moments of my life. I worked hard for it, and hard work pays off. And I told people, hey, I'm going to knock out Nate Robinson in 1 round or 2 rounds, and that's what happened. And I'm excited to continue to show people my boxing ability.
What was your favorite meme that came out of Nate Robinson?
I think the one I love Nate, and Nate's a legend. So it's nothing really to laugh about, but he's taking it lightly. So I think the one where he's on the mattress and they're like talking about discount mattresses, and he's sort of like Nate on the mattress.
There was another one that I liked where he was on the couch and then Conor McGregor was sleeping in the corner. I liked that one too. That one was...
Yeah, they're all there just knocked out together. I saw that one. The internet's ruthless.
Oh man, they are. They really, really are. No one knows that more than you. Before the fight, there were still doubters, even though you had a significant height advantage. You had been training longer. This is what you told me prior to the fight.
Really just a dream come true.
Are you planning on using your reach to keep Nate from coming inside?
I don't think Nate will even know how to fight on the inside. That's something that takes a long time. I think this fight will mostly be on the outside. I think it'll be me pressuring him, and a lot of it's gonna be like track meet. He's gonna be running around the ring after he gets hit with that first couple combinations, and I'm gonna close off the ring. Cut off the distance and finish the fight early.
Close off the distance and finish the fight early. Pretty much exactly what happened.
Look, I tried telling people, but the people don't seem to like to listen to me when I can tell people I can fight. And again, like the same sort of thing is going to happen with Ben Askren, and it might even be an easier fight than Nate Robinson.
Okay. Wow. So what is your prediction on how this fight is going to go? Give us the kind of play-by-play like you did against Nate.
I think it'll be the same thing. We'll come out very, very early. Ben will feel the heat. He'll feel the speed, the timing, and the power behind my punches. He will realize he fucked up by taking this fight. And less than 5 to 6 minutes later, my hand will be getting raised, and he'll be on the canvas, or quite literally he'll just give up, or the ref will have to stop the fight. Just because of the amount of damage that he will be taking.
Wow. You're a huge UFC fan. Why did you decide to take the fight against Ben Askren right after the follow-up of Nate?
Well, I think after I beat Nate, people were like, oh, you haven't fought a real fighter, and you just beat up a basketball player. And I was sitting there like, well, before the fight, everyone thought he was going to win. And I'm just a Disney Channel actor. So, he was the professional athlete, not me. So after that, I was like, okay, people want to see me fight a real fighter. I'll fight a real fighter. And a bunch of people were calling me out, but Ben Askren was really the only one down to sign a contract and make it happen. Yeah,
Dylan Dana said no at one point in time. And now he's saying that he has basically said he's going to fight the winner. Is that true?
It's not true at all. This guy's has no idea what he's talking about. He'd be lucky to get a fight with me. I'm sort of uninterested in that fight. And again, after I demolish Ben, it's like him and Ben are on the same sort of level of striking. They both, are at that. I don't know what level you want to call it, but that's where they are. And Dylan Danis would be a super easy fight for me. So I almost think I'm going to want a harder challenge. Yeah, I was thinking that too. When you end up beating Ben, people are going to find another way, just like they did with Nate Robinson, is to change the goalpost on you and discredit the fight, right? Exactly. So I put it on my stories yesterday. I was like, don't forget that after I knock out Ben, that y'all made him the betting favorite. So right now I'm on a couple of sites, I'm listed as the underdog. And so after the fight, after I beat him, the excuses are going to come piling in and people are going to be like, oh, well, he wasn't that good and he was old and da-da-da. But before the fight, he's going to beat me. So make up your mind, people.
No doubt. And I know I watched your documentary, the Why I Fight documentary. Sick. I mean, really, really sincere and kind of a different side of you, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you seem like a guy to me that has a plan. You've got a whiteboard, you have manifestations. I am almost certain that there is a fighter in mind, a boxer in mind that you are looking forward to. I know, obviously, this is front of mind, is Ben, that you know is the fight that is the inflection point where you get the respect that you deserve. Who is that?
I think it's Nate Diaz. I think that fight is on the horizon. I think it's very realistic, and he's expressed interest in it. And he's a fighter that is respected and is on so many different levels and is a legend and is a real dog and is a great striker. So when we fight and I beat him, I think that's when people will give me a ton of credit, and that's that'll be dope, you know. And people are watching this being like, "Oh, you can't beat Nate Diaz. He's gonna kill this little kid." Let's see.
Let's see is right. You pranked Ryan Garcia, had him hit you in the body more times than I would want. How badly did that actually hurt?
I mean, look, he can hit hard. He can hit hard for sure, especially without the body pad on. But that's why I wanted to prank him and act like I broke my rib, because he's sort of new to the YouTube world. And I thought it'd be funny to sort of play a little prank on him.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the YouTube world, at one point when we spoke in July, I think, prior to the Nate Robinson fight, you said that the pinnacle of where the whole thing goes for you was Logan. And now it feels like the pinnacle, obviously, is much higher. How did that shift?
As far as like who I'm fighting, you're saying?
Yeah, the pinnacle of like where you see the vision for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no limit, you know, to where this can go. I just have to keep on proving to myself and proving to everyone that I can actually fight and winning these fights in glorious fashion. And as long as I show up, dedicate myself, and train, then I believe that will happen. And so there's really no limit to where this can go. And you know, Floyd Mayweather has called me out.
Yep.
Conor McGregor was asked about a fight between us and, you know, didn't shoot it down. It expressed a little bit of interest, and we're talking in it with his teams, and that holds true behind the scenes with his interest levels. And so I just want to make history and do some of the biggest fights that have ever been put on.
It feels like you've changed a lot just in your evolution as a person and as a man. Do you think that I mean, would you say that that's true recently, like in the last probably 24 months?
For sure. No, for sure. Like I'm constantly evolving. I love to grow. I love to, you know, self-improve. I think self-improvement is one thing that our generation lacks. And I like to get better every single day at every single thing that I'm doing, whether it's interviews, whether it's boxing, whether it's being a better friend. You know, as I get older, that all of that stuff is a lot more important to me. And boxing has really helped me mature, and it's helped me stay away from the crazy LA madness and all the sharks and all the bad people there who want to suck the soul out of you.
That was essentially where I was going to go, was whether you think that evolution happens if you don't get into boxing.
I think it happens. I think it just happens at a slower pace. And I think boxing helped me find like-minded individuals who, you know, we wake up on a daily basis and work towards a goal. And it's such a healthy lifestyle. And it helped me get away from that Los Angeles scene. And yeah, it's been amazing. And I've really matured and grown over the past, you know, 2 years, 3 years from this sport. And this is just the start.
It's cool. You're from Cleveland, big Cavs fan during their title runs. You still a Cavs fan, or did you sort of peel off and follow Kyrie and Bron when they went to their new teams?
Yeah, no, I definitely sort of peeled off. Growing up, I was a LeBron fan, so I sort of have followed him to the Lakers now, and he was everything in Cleveland and growing up, and you would see him everywhere, and yeah, definitely a Lakers fan as well because I lived in LA, so it made sense when he came there for me to root for them.
Yeah, you made a comment, I think, on Twitter that if you could do content with any one athlete, it would be Kai. Have you thought about what that content might be if you did something with Kyrie?
I haven't. I think I would try to dunk on him without him knowing. Like someone holds up a basketball hoop behind him and I just dunk on him.
You love your pranks, man. You are good at them. I tell you what.
No one is safe.
Never. No friend is ever safe from Jake Paul's tomfoolery. No matter how grounded he is, he's still going to get him.
And by the way, vice versa. Like they pranked me the other day. We're in this haunted house basically in Atlanta, and they start playing, like they hide a speaker in the closet and they start playing like creepy noises, and I'm freaking out. So we just live in a fun household of people pranking each other all the time.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, 100%.
I had an encounter with a spirit during a massage not too long ago. It was very weird. Top 5 NBA players that you would want to fight and why?
I don't even know if I can name 5. I think Ron Artest called me out. But honestly, I don't want to fight any more of them, Yeah.
They're just now.
Because
yeah.
I don't want to hurt anybody like that, really. And then they turned one of the memes was NBA, never boxing again.
No doubt. So you basically
Everyone should just stick to their own sports.
Yeah, you basically ruined any aspiration for NBA players to fight or box and move over to that arena, essentially.
Exactly. I mean, you can't play boxing, but you could play basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. Woo. So your song 23, rumored not to be just about your age, but Jordan's jersey number, or was that about Bron's jersey number?
Yeah, it was about Jordan.
So go ahead.
Just embodying like everything. Like I feel like last year was my Jordan year. I was 23. And I'm a big fan of Michael, and he's an inspiration to me. So sort of was paying homage to his legacy as well.
Did you watch Last Dance?
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. I actually utilize like a lot of sort of his mindset tactics throughout my fighting, and just being present and enjoying the moment. And, all of the things that he has gone through, I can relate to a lot of them. So it was one of my favorite documentaries. He
had a sabbatical. You said at one point, my passion is not living in social media. You don't realize that until you stop. Have you ever considered taking a sabbatical like Jordan did? Just kind of walking away from the social media game?
Yeah. Yes, I have. I've thought about it tons of times, and I don't know. Might be something coming soon with that. I don't know. I'm sort of just exhausted from all this shit, and it's just toxic. There's really nothing good that comes out of social media if you think about it. Maybe knowing what's going on in like news, but just toxic.
Once you've gotten big enough and developed an audience and come monetize, it's kind of like you can step away and still be okay. Yeah, no,
100%. And being an athlete now, I don't have to focus as much on socials, and yeah, we'll see. I think I'm just over social media as a whole.
I can see people around you being like, "No, Jake, no." Like, no, we're not. We'll just handle it for you. We'll just film you and post it and kind of that kind of thing. I can see people around you. Maybe not. Maybe they're more, I think you have a good team around you. It sounds like they want the best thing for your mental health as well.
Exactly. Like happiness is the most important thing. So gotta prioritize that.
You said in that doc that half the world doesn't fuck with you. Half the world thinks that you're different than you see yourself. I think the perception is outside of like us and anyone who wants to create their own interaction and their own like thought process, right? Is that you're an asshole. Like that's what the world has said. And in fact, when I got our first interview and wanted to essentially look into the interviews that you've had, you can feel almost when the interviewer thinks that about you when they're coming in, right?
110%. It's a bias for sure. And you can tell when someone has a preconceived notion of you. And, it's funny because as humans, it's natural to judge, but I really try to never judge people based off of, what's on the internet, because the media and press can say anything and make anything up about anyone. And I'm obviously, someone who has a big target on their back. And you can definitely tell when an interviewer doesn't fuck with you.
Who do you want people to know you to be? Like, who is Jake Paul?
I think at the end of the day, I am a kid from a small town who has a crazy work ethic, who grew up hunting, drinking beer, playing football, hanging out with my friends, off-roading, mudding Jeeps. That was my life. And I'm still that same kid who has this passion to become successful so that my kids never have to work, because I really didn't come from anything. And I've had this crazy journey, and, I'm the first generation of success in my family. And, I'm just chasing my dreams, and I have big aspirations, and I'm just a chill guy. And look, people make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've fucked up on camera in front of the world watching. But that's going to happen if you're 17 years old with millions and millions of followers. And at the end of the day, I'm just trying to become the best version of myself on a daily basis, and uplift my friends, uplift the people around me, and do shit that people will talk about and be entertaining. And that's really who I am. And I like to have fun. I'm just a kid from Ohio.
Do you think that you've leaned into the villain role in the past?
For sure. I think I've had to. I think at many points, like, I didn't have a choice. I don't think I would have the career I've had without leaning into it. I saw on the video you referenced that you watched earlier, one of the comments was like, if Jake just talked like this all the time, he would have a lot more fans, but then he wouldn't be as wealthy and as rich because people wouldn't talk about him, so it's sort of this double-edged sword. And, I'm a villain, but I feel like I'm not. So yeah, it's just like weird. It's this weird tightrope.
I get that, Jake. Like, I am considered a villain at Barstool, and I've done nothing to deserve that title. But I think once it's there, you kind of just have to, like, you can't pivot out of it, really, right?
Exactly. It's an uphill battle that you most likely will never win.
So I guess just lean in. You said you're a narcissist in content, but not in real life. You think, based on what you just said, you think it's easier to grow an audience as the bad guy?
For sure. Good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. And people always like to pay attention to the negativity. Our society naturally is attracted to negative things and to bad news. And so look at people like 6ix9ine, right? Like that, it's all negative energy, but he's probably one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah, no doubt. If you could have done it a different way, do you think you'd still have done it the way that you did and lean into the villain role?
Yeah, I mean, I have a tattoo right here that says "No regrets," but it's spelled wrong, like the movie. But yeah, look, I don't live my life with regrets, and I'm happy with where I'm at and what I've done and what I've accomplished, and all the mistakes I've made are only making me better in the long run.
Do you think Jake Paul becomes Jake Paul without being a heel or being that bad guy?
No, I like, for example, this fight this weekend, it's like so many people are interested in it because a lot of people want to see me lose. A lot of people want to see me on the canvas, and they want to be like, haha, we got the last laugh. The Jake Paul haters finally won because Jake Paul lost. And there's a lot of them, but hey, at the end of the day, it's making the fight bigger.
How do you process that hate? Like, one of your guys that takes photos of you says that you thrive on it, but in other parts of things that I've watched, you do not.
I think it's I think it drives me to work harder. And because of that work ethic, I see a lot of results. But from like maybe an emotional standpoint of like who I am when I, look myself in the mirror at the end of the day, I think that's where it could take a toll for sure. So it has its perks, but it also has its downfall.
Congratulations on all the success. Like I said, your growth as a human being is fucking cool to watch. I take a lot of pleasure in watching you grow, given sort of what's gone on with me and my own personal brand, and being seen a certain way and actually being a different way. So it feels like you found focus and balance and happiness, which I think is fucking dope. So I can't wait for you to knock Askren the fuck out.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go. I appreciate it, for real. And yeah, like, come by.
That's all the time that we have for the This League podcast. I hope you enjoyed that Jake Paul interview. It was fucking fire. Please subscribe. Please rate. Please review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Makes a huge difference. Go find us on YouTube. Marty does a tremendous job of making sure all those clips are up and they're all socially optimized with fire of thumbnails and shit. So we also have This League hoodies on sale. Please do not forget to follow us at This League and at Trysta Krick on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you for listening. Tune in Monday afternoon for the next edition of This League, where we have on a very special guest, Zaya Cook. Thanks for listening and watching This League on YouTube. If you like this content, please hit the subscribe button right here. More content will come your way straight to your feed. Thanks for watching.